The coronavirus pandemic has seen its share of misinformation, and the Pan American Health Organization warns the lies spreading online now are fueling vaccine hesitancy. CBSN tech reporter Dan Patterson is with us now to talk more about how these conspiracy theories reach millions of people and why they are so hard to stomp out. Thank you for joining us. So we've been hearing conspiracy theories about this vaccine, basically since we heard that a vaccine was being developed. But now I see sort of a whole new batch of conspiracies that sort of boggle the mind. I just read an article yesterday about how anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers believe that the vaccine may be a danger to them, even if they don't get the vaccine, that people with the vaccine may be a danger to them. So the anti-maskers may be wearing masks to protect themselves from the vaccinated. It's just it just folds all into each other. It's mind-boggling. So can you explain to us who's responsible for the spread of these new conspiracy theories? Are we seeing more of them now that more people are getting vaccinated? Are we talking about sort of the same actors that are responsible for, Pizzagate going all the way back then?
Hi, Anne-Marie. You did such a great job of encapsulating what a conspiracy theory is. Really, these aren't static entities. They are instead kind of dynamic stories and narratives that shift, kind of like how social media trends shift and change over time. So, like you said, Anne-Marie, conspiracy theories were pretty common through the course of the coronavirus pandemic. And of course, they predated, especially vaccine-related conspiracy theories, predated the coronavirus pandemic. But what we saw, or at least the data, the social media data that was discovered by this algorithm called Blackbird AI, a New York-based cybersecurity firm created this algorithm that found the Pfizer vaccine, when that was announced, when that was rolled out in the first 2 weeks of November 2020, there was a significant uptick in conspiracies, especially those that linked the announcement of the vaccine with political conspiracies designed to undermine the credibility of the election. But it also was connected, conspiracies around the Pfizer vaccine were also connected to a number of medical conspiracies, including those that say, this is part of a new world order plan to control global population. Kind of threads and narrative ideas that don't have any basis in fact, but are pretty easy to click and share on social media.
Yeah, when I think about conspiracy theories, I sort of think about this blob roaming around the internet, looking for any of our fears, and then once a fear is identified, kind of gobbling it up and spitting it back out. So here's the thing, is that there are a lot of legitimate sources to get information about the vaccine, government sources. The pharmaceutical companies have been very sort of open about their research and their testing. But still, these conspiracy theories, find a home. How does COVID vaccine disinformation spread so quickly? And how difficult is it to contain once it's out there?
Well, a lot of these conspiracies do what's kind of called cred chasing. They lean on the credibility of actual sources or, say, medical credentials or alleged medical credentials of an influencer. And they wrap falsehoods, lies, and stories, fictional stories, around actual truth. This does a few things. Not only does it help these conspiracies grow. One common tactic is that people who run conspiracy botnets or influencers who are engaged in this space will jump on popular hashtags or hijack a hashtag with a conspiracy trend. And so by doing this, it also muddies the waters. It creates confusion about what is truth, what is fiction, and it allows these conspiracies to propagate on the back of actual truth.
Interesting. What are botnets? And why are they so hard for social media companies to contain?
Yeah, so bots also are nothing new. They've been around since the early days of the internet. Really, what we're just talking about are software that run automated programs. Now, this isn't the entirety of the conspiracy theory internet. It is a component of it. Bots do a few things, and they do them really well. First of all, they're inexpensive and they're fairly easy to deploy. They're hard for a lot of social networks to track because even the least sophisticated botnets, which are cheap or for free on the dark web, will use proxy servers to mask where an actual account is coming from. They use dead or fake accounts and have kind of a spreadsheet-like interface where you can automatically post, at least social media bots, post hundreds or even thousands of comments very rapidly. This serves to not really propagate high quality content, but again, create noise and confusion in the space. They will also hijack hashtags and they will tag influencers in the space because influencers, again, it's kind of clout chasing. Influencers can take an inauthentic piece of content, even if it's pushed by a bot, and then they can give it credibility and amplify this conspiracy even further. This also obfuscates the origin of the conspiracy and kind of lodges it into our minds more as an idea than an actual piece of content.
And then, of course, many people out there help by, clicking and sharing and not asking questions, not using their common sense. Just, when you see some of this stuff, sometimes just use common sense. Does it make any sense at all before you share it? Dan, thank you so much.
Great to see you.